is it, Dad?
Successful individuals say no to what don't work for them or make sense to them.
Stick to. I wake up early in the morning and from the block. I just happen to rap. Really just want to get to know you. I'm still a little bit involved.
That's fire.
I know.
You getting out? Alright. I'll see you later, okay?
Okay. Bye, Daddy.
Bye.
I'm flopping on stand. I'm feeling in the band. Touch it down on my.
Be like the water. Be like the water. Man, it is muddy here. Holy cow. Holy cow, I don't even want to take my shoes down this. Yeah, I was gonna do a 10K time trial, but I bailed. So I came down here to the Greenway because it is usually the fastest place to run in Charlotte because it's extremely flat. There's not very many turns, it's flat and straight, but it is flooded and mudded. So we're gonna have a change of plans. I don't even have another pair of shoes. Well, I do, I have my Hurricanes, but I'm not gonna bring those down here, so. Whew. Okay, I guess I'm just gonna jog it out, see if I can't get a few more miles in these shoes, and then we can do a little Cloudboom Strike fully tested review. How's that sound? So I'm just freestyling right now. Just left the Greenway. It is so muddy. I'm gonna have to go loop back around to the other parking lot to get the Jeep, but see if we can bang into one of these neighborhoods here. So far what I've loved about the Cloudboom Strike is that it's a great blend of comfort and speed. So the magic of this shoe is that there's an insole on the top layer that is super thick and it is very soft. That sits right on top of the plate. So a traditional shoe, you'd have the insole, then the midsole foam, then the plate, and then another layer of foam on the bottom. This one, the insole and the top layer of foam are combined, and that sits right on top of the plate. I just climbed a huge hill. I have no idea where I am. Hopefully I don't get lost. There's some nice houses up here. And I think I can hear a Mack truck coming. Yeah, so that top layer of foam provides a lot of bounce, but also awesome step-in comfort. This is probably, I'm not gonna say the most, but top 3, top 5 most comfortable race shoes. Right up there with Saucony Endorphin Pro, but faster. Right up there with Hoka Cielo X1, but lighter. Right up there with New Balance SC Elite V4, but bouncier and more aggressive. So it has a lot of great elements here. Lightweight, coming in at around 220 grams in my size. For context, Cielo X1 is 270. Endorphin Pro is about 240. And Alphafly and Endorphin Elite, which are my other 2 personal favorites right now, those are same weight, 220. Halloween decorations there. Man, I don't know if you can tell, but this neighborhood is about a straight up hill. I was gonna say 70-degree grade, but then I realized I have no idea what that means. But no wonder why the greenway is so flooded, because it's at the bottom of all this. But yeah, grip of the Cloudboom Strike. I'm going straight up a pretty slick hill right now. Woo! And it's gripping. It's gripping decently. Oh, there's a duck. Feels like we're at home. Yeah, I'm going 10-15 pace right now because this hill is so steep. Woo. Yeah, grip is solid. I'd put it right in that tier B. Definitely better than the Endorphin Elite. So I did a 2-mile warm-up down at the Greenway before my attempted workout, before I bailed. And it was great. On top of the slick mud, on top of some of the drier mud, I was doing some prolonged strides, getting down to 4s and 5s. And it was perfect. I actually saw a few other people. This reminds me of the Poconos. You know what I mean? Doesn't it look like the Poconos? Also, there's a lot of Harris Waltz signs over here. This is like the Vermont of Charlotte, I guess. Hilly and liberal. Yeah, there are some other people down there who were just walking on top of the mud and they were slipping and sliding. So this is solid. I'm impressed. Now, I wasn't going all out on the actual wet mud, but there are some slicker patches for sure. And then the dry mud that kind of mixes up with the gross water on the side. These were gripping pretty good on that. And great grip uphill. No issues slipping on toe off. So midsole and outsole, that's a great combination. Key issue is the upper. Oh man, now we're going straight downhill. I'm gonna blast my quads. Bro, even the liberal dogs don't like me. Trump dogs hating on me in Min Hill and the Harris dogs hating on me in Charlotte. Can't catch a break out here. That mile was 8:43 because of how hilly it was. Look at this. They call this neighborhood Sardis Hills. Sardis Hills. And we're at Mountain View right now. I don't know if I see a mountain view, but they weren't lying. It's pretty dang hilly. I paid more income taxes than Donald Trump. Man, that is hilarious. This neighborhood is really going hard for Kamala. Shout out to the Democrats putting in work. They got some nice houses over here. We're back on flat ground in the floodplains here. police putting in work out here. I don't know what they're stopping. A deer attack, maybe? Too many loose squirrels. The magnolia tree is getting disrespectful. All right, back to the muddy greenway for the last 2.5 miles here. I'm just gonna go for 8 on the morning, conserve my legs, and then probably try this workout again tomorrow, just at home. Every time, the last 2 times I've come here to get a flat surface to do speed, the conditions have been horrible. I came here in, what was it? February? It was a long time ago. February or March. The thing is, I used to come here all the time because Mason's old school is around the corner. But the wind was whipping through here last time. Now it's just completely muddy. But this is the stuff that I've been running on with the Cloudboom Strike. And it's holding up well. Watch this, I'll throw a little stride here, get down to 4 something pace. And it holds up really well. See if I can get a slicker patch of mud to test on. This is pretty much all dry right here. All right, I see some good mud up there. We'll just bang a 100-yard little surge right here and see how these hold up. I'll click the watch too so we can get some pace reading. These boys think they're testing. They ain't really testing. Come to Charlotte, we can really test. All right, let's go. On top of the wet mud, a little surge. All right, that was exactly 5 flat pace, 5:00 pace, 47 seconds. That was a good little surge. And as you can see, the grip is actually fantastic. So I have no concerns with mud grip. The thing is, mud and rain are a little bit different when thinking about having a street completely covered in water, because you get the oils that rise up off the ground, and that can mean it's a little bit slicker. So for conditions like that, that's where the Continental will really grip well. But on some muddy ground, this is not bad at all. So, we're at 420 distance, 1.8 miles left. We can chat through the upper when we get back up to the car. Yeah, so we're now off-road right now. Supwell off-road in action. I stepped right in a mud puddle about 30 seconds ago and I did slip, but we're now not on the pavement. Oh, that was not a very nice look. I wonder who she's voting for. You never know. All right, well, that was mildly disappointing because I was hoping to get some pace, and then I was just feeling a little bit, I don't know, I wasn't feeling it, and then the mud was just absurd. I could not run 10K pace on that mud. So we got 6 3/4, average 7:34 pace, plus I got 2 mile warm-up. So it's about 8 and some change. And take these bad boys off, and man, wow, we did get decently muddy here. So before I take these off, this is what I wanted to talk to you guys about. Upper, look at this. Look at this bump on the top of my foot on both sides. You can see it's erect. It stands up. This little bump here. You can't pop it down. So it's something about there's just too much material, too much of this fabric on top of the foot, because I have these laces tied tight, but they're not cranked down. You can see they're not overly close to each other. It's not like there's 3 centimeters between the laces. It's just tuned weirdly. And let me untie this. To not have this be like that bump, I would have to have them, look at this. Look how loose I would have to have these laces. They're basically not even tied to get rid of that bump. Yeah, now it's flat, and I have a fairly standard sized foot, maybe even a little wide, and if I had these shoes tied like this, I would be slipping and sliding everywhere. So this is, and I've had a few other runners tell me about this issue as well. So that's just one thing. And then on the first run I did in these, it was a 24-mile long run. I had the standard laces in, so these are different laces that I put on, and they kept coming untied. Plus, this little bump here was flopping on the top of my foot. Something about the new laces has stopped that issue at least, so it's no longer touching the top of my foot. But every time I could feel it flop down on the top of my foot on that long run, I looked down to make sure that the shoes were still tied, because I thought that flopping was the shoelaces coming untied. So the upper is a little bit of a hot mess, a hot mess. The fit is fine, actually. I don't feel like my foot is sliding around. I did think in the warm-up, though, that this right shoe could have been a little bit more dialed in. So it's just a finicky upper. And for $200, I think the MSRP is $280. I just expect a little bit more precision. Right? The material itself is fine. I have no issues with the material. It's just they've put too much of it. And if you're going to use a little bit of a funky material, let me show you this. Just going to put on my other shoes now. By the way, I know people are asking for a Hurricane update. I don't really run in these anymore. I pretty much just use them for casual use. Not because they're a bad running shoe, but I have so many shoes to run in, and I really like the way that these look and feel for walking, so I've just relegated these to dad drip. usage. And yeah, switching into a standard training shoe or everyday running shoe like this, of course this is going to feel a little bit more supportive. But I do have to say the stability is not bad in the Cloudboom Strike. But this material here, it's some sort of almost cheesecloth type of, I don't even know what you call it. Oh yeah, one more thing about the fit and feel. You can you hear this? So there is a little bit of weirdness coming from that drop-in insole. That's what I've noticed. It seems that it does create some sort of a squishing sound because it's not completely locked down. There is a little bit of space and some movement with this drop-in on top of the carbon plate. And you can see, look at this, carbon plate is right there, which is really cool. You can't see the carbon plate in any other shoe like that. So carbon plate, thick drop-in insole, and then you have the other layer of foam on the bottom here on top of this rubber, which performed really well. I mean, look at that. You can see there's mud still in these little holes here because the shoe is gripping. And I think that's what does it. That's what's providing that great grip on the rubber. You have these reverse lugs here. It's almost like a car where you can see the tread pattern, and then you even have siping on these little scratched off areas. So it was gripping that mud really good. I was confident in this, so I'd be confident taking this out in the wet, in the mud. I really do want to do, I think the last frontier for this shoe is a rainstorm. So if it starts raining this afternoon, we're gonna have to take this out for some miles. But I'm pretty confident in this as a wet weather, bad weather shoe based on how it performed in the mud today. So with that, I'm gonna lace up these Hurricane, and then we can drive home, do a last little few comparisons. I actually think I might have to clean off this shoe first because it is so disgusting. See if I have some baby wipes. I have no wipes here, so we're gonna have to do this at home. But you can't just leave your shoes muddy, man. You gotta take care of the shoes so they take care of you right back. Hold on, it's too nice not to take the roof off.
Danced on the work, did the Macarena and the Mambo. Wig and make them crisp. I'm a genuine article. White thing off.
It would be kind of nice if it were
Recovery lunch here in Supwell kitchen. Is this ziti or rigatone? Charles. Rigatone with some homemade bolognese, vegan bolognese, with the dairy-free parm from Trader Joe's. This stuff is fire. That's a good meal right there. Bang. All right, so we are at about 65 to 70 miles on the Cloudboom Strike now. To recap my thoughts on the ride experience, I want to do some comparisons here, but to recap my thoughts on the ride experience through all of the testing, so that's 2 long runs. I did a 24-mile long run and a 20-mile long run. I did a 10-mile threshold workout, so it was actually 14 total miles, but 10 miles working at that 5:30 pace. And then I did today's run and maybe 1 or 2 other runs. But throughout all those miles, the key adjectives, the key characteristics that pop up into my mind: soft, bouncy, and lightweight. For me, at my paces, this is a great half marathon and marathon racing shoe. It feels fast, but it also is comfortable because of that soft feel, and that top layer of foam, which is the insole combined with the top layer of the midsole, is awesome. There's nothing really else like it on the market, at least in the marathon segment. I'm gonna highlight some of these other shoes that are also soft and bouncy, but the bounce here feels just 3% more dialed in than any of these other shoes. The pop is a little bit more aggressive than something like the Cielo X1, and it's lighter weight than a lot of the other shoes without being too aggressive. So same weight as the Alphafly and Endorphin Elite, but those are much more aggressive than this shoe. So to me, this does the best job of blending speed and comfort, which is what you want over the half marathon or marathon distance, especially if you're going to be going half marathon over 90 minutes. And for any of us in the marathon, we're going to want both speed and comfort. So decently stable, fun ride with some pop. It's basically everything that you could ask for in a race shoe. Now, downsides: weird upper. This is probably the worst race shoe upper out there, given the popituity thing here. And you can just hear it. It's an odd material that they picked, and it crinkles up on the toes. And I actually had to replace the laces. You'll see here, these are the extra laces that came with my Diadora Gara. So all the main downsides are on the upper. I do think this little drop-in, because it's not attached to the bottom, there is some give on it, and I think that some space, some air can get in between the top layer and the plate sometimes, which creates that squeaking and squishing that you might have heard when we were lacing down out by the Jeep earlier. And also just doesn't always feel completely cohesive, like the package doesn't come together perfectly. But the midsole experience is so good that it more than makes up for any of those minor flaws. So for me, I can highly recommend this as a marathon shoe or a half marathon shoe if you want something soft, comfortable, and fun. The grip was great, the ride is fun, and it's still lightweight even though it has a lot of cushion. Now let's get to some comparisons here. So I tried to pull the shoes that I know a lot of people are going to ask me about. So first up, let's compare it to the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4. So comparison and alternative. This would be the alternative for me. If you want a fun, soft, bouncy race shoe, but you don't want to spend $280. Now, I think this actually came out to around $300 with the tax and everything when I bought it in store. So this guy you could get for $225. This is the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4. You still get the full-length carbon fiber plate. You still get 100% of the race foam here. This is Saucony's Power Run PB. It's a great foam. It's no longer the fastest foam out there. It feels like it lacks a little bit of pop compared to some of these other foams, but if you want something comfortable, this would be it. The, what is this, Cloudboom Strike? This is probably 5% faster. If I were going for a PR, I would take the Cloudboom Strike over the Endorphin Pro at my paces. So my marathon pace is going to be anywhere between 6 flat and 6:15-ish. I've been training for around a 6:05, 6:10 marathon pace. I prefer running that in the Cloudboom Strike, Alphafly, Endorphin Elite. Those have been my favorites. This one feels a little bit too soft, but when I was training for a sub-3 marathon, and I actually ran a sub-3 marathon in this shoe, it was perfect. So it's really going to depend on what your paces are, what your comfort level is with having a more aggressive shoe. But again, as I mentioned, the Cloudboom Strike, even though it is faster, it doesn't feel as aggressive as any of these other options. So a really nice blend of aggression and comfort. Similar thing as the Endorphin Pro, but this is just maybe a touch slower. Also, look at this. The plate is a little bit more flexible in this shoe than some of the other shoes. Let's compare here. Yeah, this plate is probably just a touch stiffer, more aggressive in the Cloudboom Strike. Now, comparing to the Diadora Gara, another expensive race shoe. This thing is actually $300 MSRP compared to the $280 for the Cloudboom Strike. This one feels even softer than the Cloudboom. So I really liked this when I first tested it, and then I did a 21-mile long run with a good chunk of that at marathon pace. I think the last 8 miles at marathon pace, and this just felt plain old too soft for me, which I have not had that issue in the Cloudboom Strike. It's always on the verge of, is it too soft? But I can go through all my range of paces in the Cloudboom Strike. First run on the shoe out of the box, I did 24 with 4 at threshold around 5:30 something, and the last 4 at marathon effort around 5:50 something, and I didn't have any fear of it being too soft. And then similar run in the Gara, and it did feel a little bit too soft. So if you like super soft, if you like the New Balance 1080 and you're wondering what would that feel like in a racing package, that would be the Diadora Gara. If you're not running 6 flat race paces, if you're running maybe 7s or 8s, I don't think you'll have that issue with this feeling too soft unless you are a bigger runner, but it is a very soft shoe. Cloudboom Strike does a little bit better job threading the needle of not being too soft while retaining that aggression. Now, next comparison here, Hoka Cielo X1. This is the current top hobby jogger race shoe. This is the one that I keep seeing the reviews pop up on the Supwell app, and everyone is absolutely loving this thing. So this is a little bit bouncier than the Cloudboom Strike. It's also more cushioned. You get more foam in here from how Hoka has contoured this midsole. They've gotten around that 40 millimeter limit rule in the back by stuffing more foam in the midfoot. So if you want the utmost in that bouncy experience, the Cielo X1 is going to take the cake. However, Cloudboom Strike is lighter weight. So if you're more for speed over fun and comfort, that would be the Cloudboom Strike. This is a little bit more fun. This is a little bit more comfortable. The Cloudboom Strike is faster. I also think the bounce is just different. This has a zippier bounce. This has more of a substantial comfort bounce to it. So both great shoes. It's just, are you all out assault on speed? That would be Cloudboom, or do you want more of that fun, a little bit touch more relaxed experience in the Cielo X1? This is not a slow shoe, by the way. I did another long run workout in this where I had 4 reps at around 550 pace, 2 mile reps around 550 pace, and this thing did great. But it is a little bit heavier than the Cloudboom Strike, and I know I say weight doesn't mean everything, but in the case of these two shoes, because they're both super bouncy, the Cloudboom Strike is going to be the faster one over the marathon distance. That's why the Cloudboom Strike is in contention for me for my marathon at Chicago, whereas the Cielo X1 is not. This is just a little bit faster version, a little bit less fun version of what the Cielo X1 does. And last comparison here, Nike Alphafly 3. So this guy is more aggressive. This is the, I don't even have to say it. This is the aggressive shoe. If you want a shoe for that all-out PR, that's gonna be the Alphafly versus the Cloudboom Strike. Both are bouncy, both have relative comfort, and the Alphafly comfort has grown on me, but the Cloudboom Strike is just a way more comfortable shoe, a softer step in, not as aggressive as a feel. This one really encourages me to pick up the pace. I don't love running 7-minute miles, 8-minute miles in the Alphafly 3. Cloudboom Strike feels a little bit more versatile, and today was the first run that I've done in this shoe where I didn't have a ton of pace in it. Now, I was hoping to do a 10K time trial, but because the greenway was flooded and mudded and I just didn't want to deal with that, I bailed. So I ended up doing that 8-mile run with most of it at just my normal everyday pace, maybe even slower because we were going up the hills and down the hills. And what this shoe was great at was feeling versatile, feeling good at all of those paces, and it didn't feel like I needed to pick up the pace. It didn't feel like it was too aggressive when I was going slow, and it didn't feel like it was capping out when I was doing my strides at around a 4:30 pace. So like the Endorphin Pro, this shoe has a lot of range, and at 70 miles now, or around 60 something miles, it's hard to tell with these shoes sometimes with the durability. I will do a 100-mile update and more updates, but it's pretty solid. Now you can see the rubber's flat here. It actually comes like that from the factory. So it's kind of hard to get a read on these race shoes, but it doesn't feel like the performance is degrading. I think this will be decently durable. So if we can get 300 miles out of this shoe, this is going to be a great one to get for marathon, long run training, and for training in general. And that's where I'd slot this in. If you want one of those shoes, again, to train in and race in, this would be it, because it has that everyday comfort as well as that race speed you want when you're going for a fast workout or a fast time on a race day. So I highly recommend this shoe. It's fun, it's comfortable, it's bouncy, the grip is good. Upper is trash, but switch out the laces and you should be able to get a better fit. So there is the fully tested review of the Cloudboom Strike. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me today on this run. As always, I'll be back tomorrow with another video.